remote areas. Your partnership with iRadio ensures visibility across a wide geographic area.
Don't miss out on the opportunity to amplify your message with iRadio. Partner or advertise with us today and make your voice heard across South Sudan.
Welcome to the Sundown Show. On this show, we bring you the movers and shakers of South Sudan and the world over. We engage in debates and discussions that unearth the stories behind the news. And we have our light moments too by chit-chatting about issues that affect our day-to-day life. We stay right here on the Sundown. Join in and be part of the show on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan. The Sundown. For the news, views, opinion, debates, and discussions. Listen to who is who talking about issues that affect our country and continent. Only on the Sundown, your eye on South Sudan.
Hello and welcome to the Sundown Show on iRadio with me, Madrama. Today is Tuesday, 13th of May 2025. This program comes to you Monday to Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. for a comprehensive look at the daily events, the latest information, in-depth analysis, exclusive interviews, and exciting surprises. To be part of the show, call us on 0911-022-986-986. You can send for us a text message on 0913-986-986. If you can't access the radio, we are also on Facebook, X to YouTube, and more. You can also stream this broadcast live by logging to our website at www.iradio.org. Coming up. The Ministry of Petroleum has provided a clarity on the impact of recent strike in Port Sudan, assuring the country's crude oil export remain largely uninterrupted despite logistical setback caused by the unrest.
Ministry of Petroleum is working closely with Ministry of Energy and Petroleum of Republic of Sudan to settle the matter, and hopefully it would not reach to the stage of the putting the shutdown plan in action, as it was mentioned in the letter that was sent from the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum of Sudan.
Well, we will listen to an exclusive interview with Engineer Deng Lual, the Undersecretary in the Ministry of Petroleum, outlining the current production status across South Sudan's oil field. Over to Eastern Equatoria State.
And we have farming activities. If you cannot get a job, why can't you go and practice agriculture? Agriculture is who people can get more money.
Information Minister, that's Elia John Al-Haj, will provide for us detailed security update, developmental issues, and other issues that also concerned in the state right there in the second hour. All these stories and more coming to you in today's edition of the Sundown Show. I am your host, Madrama James. Stay tuned.
Itabasma le radio Hagiga I radio en Takum fi Junub Sudan.
Well, today we are focusing on South Sudan oil export and how the recent strike in Port Sudan has disrupted operations. As you are aware, South Sudan's authorities have ordered the stoppage of South Sudan oil exports following series of drone attacks allegedly by the Rapid Support Forces, also known as RSF, on two key oil facilities in Port Sudan. In a letter dated May 9th, Sudan's Undersecretary of the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum informed his South Sudanese counterpart that he had instructed two operating companies, Petco and Babco, to develop a fast-track plan to shut down the affected facilities. Well, today we bring you a special two-part pre-recorded interview with South Sudan's Undersecretary at the Ministry of Petroleum, Engineer Deng Lual. In part 1, we look at how the strike has affected the flow and export of South Sudan's crude oil, Well, my colleague and I, Radio Sobacho Kushagao, caught up with engineer Denglwal this morning, and this is what he had to say.
Thank you for having me, iRadio, and thank you for viewers of iRadio and all the publics. South Sudan have 3 oil-producing blocks. One of the major producing block is Block 3 and 7, which is in Poluj oil field. It's currently producing 110 from Palm Station 1. When we export it to Jebelain CPF, Central Processing, then from there they will process. The water cut will be removed. Then the number of barrels will be reduced because of water percentage, water content that still contain one. Because what we are doing in we have what we call field production facilities. What is in Jebelain, we call it central processing. This is the final where we process the oil, we remove the impurities, and the water. We have certain percentage to meet international export and standard, which is 0.5 water content. Then will be pumped to marine terminal. This is one of the field, and the second field is block 1, 2, and 4, which is the Unity oil field. We call it Unity oil field, and this field is producing currently average of 50,000 barrels per day as export, and is now producing. We have third field, which is, we call it Tarjas oil field in block 5A, we call it. This Tarjas oil field is producing currently 10,000 barrels per day. Block 5A is the only block that has central processing facilities in South Sudan. The oil is processed and sent to Iglich for the export.
Thank you for this wonderful information. I would like, previously people have they have had a good news about the oil that has already reached Port Sudan, but there was kind of a strike that occurred. So can you give us a status of how is the South Sudan oil flow is being affected or is not affected by the current strike? And we had the Sudanese writing a letter to South Sudan that the oil is being affected. What is the status as currently?
Yeah, Minister of Petroleum is working closely with Minister of Energy and Petroleum of Republic of Sudan to settle the matter, and hopefully it would not reach to the stage of the putting the shutdown plan in action, as it was mentioned in the letter that was sent from the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum of Sudan. Yeah, so we are closely working with stakeholders to address the issues.
And how has the recent strike in Port Sudan affected the flow and export of South Sudan crude oil?
Actually, what have happened is just the attack was on the substation, as it was has been mentioned by the letter that was sent from Sudan side. The impact is about the safety of engineers and passage of the oil material. But currently the oil facilities along the pipeline are safe.
In terms of logistics, what specific logistic or operation that have been affected by or interrupted by this strike, as mentioned by Sudanese part?
I think mainly we have critical material like chemical we import the chemical through the Port Sudan, and we import also diesel, and most of the oil material are imported through the Port Sudan because it's close to the oil fields. And after the crisis started in 2023, we have faced a lot of challenges actually, and which sometime the company reroute some material through the main port of Mombasa, and which is more costly than import the material through the Port Sudan because of distance. Because from Mombasa is distant in longs, and we have issues of the infrastructure that are connecting to oil field. So these are the challenges. And river transportation is being used, but also there's so many checkpoints along the river, which has affected also the oil operation, and has impacted on the entitlement of the government, because what the oil company does is always they take their operating costs first, which in one company, we like Depot, the percentage of the operating cost is 45% of the total production. If the operating cost is higher, then what will remain is what will be divided with the government. Government will get less entitlement. The more we have operating cost increase, the less government will get entitlement. That's why government is not getting more cargoes because of the logistic challenges caused by the crisis in Sudan. And also Sudanese are facing the same problem, because they have to get some material through the South Sudan, through Port Mombasa, to take it to like Idlib. To supply Idlib, they have to go through Port Mombasa. Even they are getting diesel the same road. So these are the logistic challenges that affected the oil operation for the both countries.
Okay, Honorable Engineer Deng, I would like to get back to you, because last time we had a good news that the ministry, South Sudan oil already reached Port Sudan. I would like to know how much oil is currently standard or sorted in Port Sudan due to the interruption, and what is the estimated value of this shipment?
Currently, I think there's no oil stranded in the Port Sudan. It's only there are oil material that they are the one stranded in Port Sudan. Material like chemical, production chemical, and we have fuel. These are the material that is stranded. But about the oil, the export it was only for 2 days that the vessel did not manage to come. They declined during the attacks time, but after 2 days the vessel they came and they started off taking the loading of
Do you know the amount, how much?
It was a cargo that is belong to the partners. For partners, when we talk about partners, these are partners of Block 3 and 7. Partners are Nile Operation Company, CNPC, China National Petroleum Corporation, and Sinopec is a Chinese company also, is a partner, and Tri-Ocean is an Egyptian company. These are the partners. The cargo was belonged to the partners, but they managed to load that after we.
Can you give us, we talk about cargo, how many barrel in your cargo, so that, because you talk about Block 3 and 7, which according to your statement earlier produce 110 barrel per day. So how many cargo are we talking about currently, so that we understand?
I think the first cargo was 5 cargo. The first, after the resumption, we have 5 cargo, and this cargo, majority of them are going to the partners, because I talk about the operating costs, because the partners always put their money, we call it cash call, they inject the money to extract the oil, and then after the oil come out and reach to Port Sudan, then now they will do a calculation. They will now put aside the OPEX, which we call it operating costs. Then what remain is what the partners and government will divide. So that's why the majority of the cargo will always go to the partners, because they will have operating costs and then their profit oil that we share.
And maybe this question, how much are we expecting in return as a country from these 5 cargoes? You mentioned that already been...
As I mentioned earlier, the operating cost is high, and as you are aware, the oil has been shut down, moved for 1 year, and the cost of resumption is also high. So we always give priority to partners, because they want to recover the cost and for the resumption. So the government, mainly based on entitlement, they get 1. They are supposed to get 2, but because of government has additional
1%?
No, it's 1 cargo.
1 cargo.
Yeah, 1 cargo. Yeah, 1 cargo. 1 cargo is because we have there's additional cargo we have taken before shutdown. When government is a critical situation, sometimes we ask to take additional, or we call it overlifting. Then when we resume, then they will take, after every month they can take that that portion of the oil that they have taken, we have taken to pay back the partners.
All right, and also maybe if you can clarify the arrangement between Sudan and South Sudan regarding the use of Port Sudan and the pipeline, because there is this kind of issue of political instability in Sudan. So do we have any arrangement between the 2 countries in regard to the use of Port Sudan and the pipeline?
Yeah, we have, there is arrangement. We have with Sudan, between the Ministry of Petroleum South Sudan and Ministry of Energy of Petroleum. We had agreed to do a facilitation of the passage of the oil material and engineer and staff that are working in between 2 countries in the oil field, so and along the pipeline. That's the arrangement we have.
Yes, you also talked about the percentage and then the share that being is given to the partners. You mentioned the Chinese and the Egyptian. What is the status of the foreign investment in petroleum sector? Are the current investors, because we know Petronas already they have left, and then we have the CNPC and also the NIPET continuing operating. So what is the status currently?
The status, actually we are operating well, although the exit of Petronas has impact on the cost, because they used to contribute by a certain amount, what we call the cash call. But after I resumed the office, when it was difficult for us. It's one of the challenges that faced you can remember my predecessor. They announced that the oil has reached to Port Sudan, and the pipeline has already resumed officially. One of the challenges was mostly, one of them is the issue of the contribution of the cash call from the Petronas, because one exit, Petronas has 40%, and Dipok, that petroleum operation company, and in Greater Pioneer, Dipok has 30%, and 67.85 in ESPOC, which is Sud Petroleum Operating Company. The arrangement I've done, because these two were operating, there's no serious impact on the Dipok and ESPOC, because we are using the same, especially we are using the same entitlement. What we call it entitlement is their entitlement, which is oil. We sell sell it under their name, and then we pay off the cash call, and then if there are outstanding cash call, we use it to maintain the operation, not to stop. This is what I did, and also I went on and take some of the money from their entitlement, some cash in there from their entitlement to support the resumption operation in Depot. This is the plan I put in place, and I called the partners because the partners were asking for us to resume the budget. Is huge, and it need a contribution of 40%. Government has to pay this 40%, and government does not have 40%. So what we have to convene the foreign partners. We told them, you resume, but the first cargo you will taking it to recover your investment or your resumption money. So
yes, if in case you have just joined us, you're listening to the Sundown show, and in this special broadcast, we are focusing on South Sudan oil exports and how the recent strike in Port Sudan has disrupted operation. The just concluded interview was my colleague Denglwal, who is the Under Secretary of Petroleum. Engineer Denglwal in part 1 talked about that's how in part 1 we take a look at how the strike drone attack has affected the flow and export of that South Sudan crude oil. And now, according to the Undersecretary, South Sudan has 3 main oil-producing areas. That's Block 3 and 7 located in that Poloch oil field in Upper Nile State, which is producing 110,000 barrels per day. Then Block 1, Block 2, and Block 4 in Unity oil field produce about 50,000 barrels daily, and Block 5A in Tharjas is producing around 10,000 barrel. Oil is processed at a central facility to remove that impurities before it's sent via that's a pipeline to Port Sudan for export. Now let's listen to the part 2 of the interview where engineer had that exclusive interview with my colleague again.
Based on this arrangement, because the oil has been down for 1 year, there's some partners did not manage to pay their cash call, which is their contribution. Yeah, the depot did not shut down because it's operating. The staff are there, so you have to pay operating costs and for a staff salary and the recycling for the oil in the field and consumption of diesel and movement. So some of the partners did not manage to pay. So this is one of the challenges. One partner that was managing to pay his cash call. So this is one of the challenges, is the cost of the resumption. And another one of challenges is the security of the pipeline. They were concerned, if we are going to resume today, if anything happened to pipeline, then we will lose the money we spend on the resumption. So this is also one of the challenges that was facing us to convene the foreign partners, especially. I think this is mainly the main challenge. Another challenge was about the assurance from the operating companies that are operating the pipeline, which is BAPCO, we call it Bashir Pipeline Company. They were saying the pipeline is ready, but the foreign partners, they are saying we are not sure the pipeline is ready, has been cleaned, because the gelling happened. It was for the whole pipeline. We have 1,500 kilometers, the length of the pipeline, and which in the south part, we have 242 kilometers. That's in the South Sudan, and the 120 something is. The other portion is from the Sudan side. So there was no assurance from the partners. So we have to convey the partners to telling them, seeing the owner of pipeline, you're saying the pipeline, let us help, because to resume. But their main concern is about security. Yeah.
So now Sudan is still at war. There is no any cessation of hostilities or ceasefire. So concerning the security of pipeline and the flow of oil, what is the government through the Ministry of Petroleum is doing so that to assure the partners that the oil will flow without any interruption? Because we've been seeing several times the pipeline being attacked, sometimes being interrupted, and then they strike in Port Sudan. How is it going to be?
The government is putting effort on engaging the stakeholders to protect the pipeline, and to protect also the engineer and personnel that are operating. So mainly there are efforts being done by the leadership of the country to make sure the pipeline is safe.
And also, maybe I would like to ask this question: are there any plan for oil exploration projects in new blocks? If so, which blocks, and when are they expected to begin?
There are ongoing plan actually for the new oil blocks. There's a South African company who is partner with NilePet. We call it Nile Orange. Now it's working doing exploration activities. It's working, trying to, but it's not easy because of the energy transition issue. Most of the investors that in the upstream, especially oil and gas, because it's capital intensive. For you to invest, you have to recover your investment on return at least 30 to 35 years. So the issues of climate change and the oil price at up and down, most of the investors are reluctant. And because the banks, especially nowadays, the investment support is only on the renewable energies. So they are not much on the hydrocarbon investment. This is one of the challenges that is facing oil and gas companies for the new investment.
Yes, I would like to get back to you a little bit about the issue of the cargo, which we talked about earlier. So my question will be about, I would like to know what is the current price of South Sudan receiving per barrel, and how does this compare to the international crude benchmark?
Actually, we work based on the current price. It depends, it's not the current oil price is around 63, 64, right? It's not fixed. It's in the range of 60, 53, 54. So we always follow the international practices based on international price. That's what.
And can you give us an estimate how much are we expecting it to get from that one cargo you talked about it? Because the 5 and then 4 will go to how much if we can give you an estimate how much the government will receive for this or South Sudan.
That arrangement, my role is to produce the oil.
Yes.
But when I sell it, it's I don't talk about the money, I talk about the barrels.
Yes.
So it's the Minister of Finance that is responsible how much that will come, and the central bank that the one who receive that amount. Yeah.
And is there any efforts maybe underway to refine our crude oil domestically to reduce the line of oil imports? Because I know there was a plan in Tangrial, if I'm not mistaken. There was also a plan of a refinery in Unity State and also in Upper Nile, if I'm not mistaken. Do we have any plan in the Ministry of Petroleum?
Yes, there was a plan actually. Tangrial in 2012 was 2012.
Yeah.
But the investors, that came to invest in the refinery, oil refinery, he came and he started the process. We have signed a concession agreement. It was BOT, Bill of Operation Transfer. It was the nature of the agreement, and because of the 2013 crisis, the investor did not manage to come after this 2013 crisis, because maybe as issue of finance, because of the bank. Sometimes they always to support, most of the bank always to support, they have to assess the risk on that investment. Yeah, so the investors they did not come, but the project was business was serious, but because of 2013 the project was stopped and they did not come. This is about the Tangrial. On the other project, there are plans that we one of the companies we are engaging it now is called Aspect. It's with partnership with the refinery companies, one of the downstream companies, established by ministerial order from the cabinet, and they are working now to working on the studies, feasibility studies. Hopefully Maybe if they manage to get a funding, I think we can realize that project. So, but the investment in refinery also is capital intensive. It's not, for refinery, it's not just you putting the topping plant, a small refinery, but for you to have a viable or economical refinery, you have to have a complex refinery where you will have all the products, JD1, diesel, petrol. These are they're good for investment. So it's not easy to get. It's not less than 1 billion for you to get a bigger complex refinery.
Mm-hmm. Before we wind up, I still have like 2 or 3 questions. One is in the event of prolonged disruption in Port Sudan, or let's talk about war in Sudan, what alternative export options does South Sudan have? And are there any talks underway with the neighboring countries to find alternative pipeline or maybe a route for South Sudan to export the oil? Because we don't know what will happen in Sudan because fighting is still ongoing.
Actually, there are plans. One of the plans is refinery. It's one of the plan. As I mentioned earlier, there is engagement with the potential investors. The second plan is alternative pipeline. But alternative pipeline is connected with the reserve. You have to have enough reserve, so it's require exploration activities to have new discoveries, and oil pipeline, especially cross-border pipeline, are done by investors because they are capital intensive, and that's why it's very challenging at the moment, while the issues of energy transition, because for the investors has to look how he can recover his investment. So, and reserve also, and the future of the oil. So if people are moving to renewable energy, it's one of the challenges.
But about reserve, I remember the first vice president said it in one of the forum that we have like about 1 million reserve oil underground, if I'm not mistaken, if I can quote.
It's there, but we have to conduct the studies. The studies are not done, and for the investors you have to have a credible proven reserve. We have reserve, you can call it reserve, and proven reserve, where you are sure there's oil after the studies. If there are no proper study, then the investors has to look for the study, because we have oil in South Sudan, we have a reserve, but it's not a proper reserve. It has to be, the study has to be done with a credible company. Then based on that, the investors will.
And how much do you have proven reserve currently?
Proven reserve, I cannot give you the exact figure, because I have to revise the figures. Proven reserve.
And how much do we have proven reserve currently?
Proven reserve, I cannot give you the exact figure, because I have to revise the figures. Proven reserve. But it's based on the current. It may not be enough for us to construct a new refinery unless we have, but we have oil. I have assurance we have oil, but we have to do more exploration activities. And also the issue I mentioned earlier, the issue of energy transition, where the most of investment is being moved to the energy transition because of climate change issues.
Yes, and lastly, what is your message to international oil buyers and partners concerning about the stability in oil export, the one for South Sudan?
My message is I want to inform the international or the buyers or traders that our pipeline is safe, and we are working closely with Ministry of Energy and Petroleum to resolve the matter that are related to security along the pipelines. So there are efforts being put, but currently the assurance is our security, the pipeline is secure and safe.
Yes.
Well, that wraps up the interview between South Sudan Under-Secretary of Petroleum with my colleague Obacho Kush Shagawa. Now, as you have heard from the Undersecretary who explained the oil flow challenges following a warning letter from Sudan's Ministry of Energy and Petroleum about possible shutdown to the recent drone strike in Port Sudan. You have equally heard, of course, from the part 2, the impact and the way forward. Now we want to hear from you as a South Sudanese. Should South Sudan invest in a new route to export its oil? That's one. How about building refineries to boost the country's revenue? You can share your thought with us on 0911022986 after this break.
The Ministry of Health is conducting a commemoration of African Vaccination Week with a new vaccine introduction of pneumonia vaccine, targeting all children aged between 6 to 14 weeks. Take your child to the nearest vaccination center during the African Vaccination Week or Big Catch-up campaign.
Good morning, Mama Alice.
Good morning, Mama Ladu. Where are you coming from this morning?
I had taken Ladu for pneumonia vaccination at the health center to protect my child against pneumonia and meningitis. He was also vaccinated with other routine immunization vaccines at no cost. Is baby Alice already vaccinated?
Yes, she was vaccinated last month. Does she need to be vaccinated again?
Yes, she needs to be vaccinated with at least 3 doses at 6, 10 and 14 weeks to be fully vaccinated, immunized and protected against pneumonia.
Really? I just heard from afar that there will be a vaccination campaign during the African Vaccination Week, but I was not keen enough to get the details.
You know, pneumonia vaccine is effective in preventing pneumonia and deaths in infants and young children. This vaccine has just been introduced this year, 2025. A lot of children were not vaccinated. Some even travel without being vaccinated. I wouldn't want to see any child get pneumonia.
I didn't know that pneumonia is very serious, that it can cause meningitis and even death.
Yes, pneumonia is a life-threatening disease caused by bacteria or viruses. The signs are cough, fever, chills, and shortness of breath, which may be accompanied by chest pain when breathing or coughing. Children who survive may experience long-term effects on lung function and increased risk of respiratory conditions like asthma.
Asthma or lung function complication? Oh, that sounds scary. How can I protect my child from this dangerous disease?
The only way for your child to be safe is when your child and all children in your neighborhood are vaccinated with pneumonia vaccine.
I will do that immediately. Where can I take my child for this vaccine? Hope it is not late.
No, you are not late. Pneumonia vaccine and all the other routine vaccines are available at all government health centers in your areas. Tell your neighbors with children between 6 to 14 weeks to be vaccinated.
I'm glad you told me. I will take my child immediately to the nearest health center for pneumonia vaccination.
Bring your child to the nearest health center and protect them from pneumonia and other vaccine-preventable diseases. This message is brought to you by the National Ministry of Health with support from WHO, UNICEF, and South Sudan Women in Medicine.
Itabasma le Radio Hagiga I Radio en takum fi Junub Sudan.
Nama ena takun fi Junuba Sudan musemen fi kulu mahali biga fursa leka shan tasal fi 09 wide wale 22986 zai semena min shamal Sudan wasad mashakil algad bahasil fi Sudan fi qarar wala fi raya albaden kaman petrol bitena albiyamshi beda min shamal Sudan le por Sudan le alam bijago fulutani marafana gasalo fi توجد الكل وكمان معلومات هلتم قاعد باسما ويتا أن باسال حالو بكون كويس عشان كيف جنوب السودان يلقى سكة عشان من بقدمو بترول بيتومون ولا كرود اويل في سوق ولا تبمانا ريفاينريز ولا شركة ذاتو تا بترول يعملو في داخل جنوب السودان فشارك معنينا رأي بتاكي hali tabumana ashinu bedha basil taban lo fi mashakil mana zaya sigad basil fi shamal Sudan de kaman bahasir ma petrol bita junuba Sudan usika kaman bardu bugofulu kalama del kulu bihilu mon kef asa tabagdar tasil mahanina fi 09 wide wale 22986 we are asking you, should South Sudan invest in a new route to export its oil, or how about building refineries to boost the country's revenue? Let me talk to my first caller right here, radio.
Hello, salaam alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Dana Carlos Kwajdar Munwao, برنامج لسه مشديد وأيضا أشارك.
قدم.
طبعا يا جماعه بالنسبه للبترول بتاعنا جنوب الناس فيها معين هو المستفيد فوق وفي فيها المواطن كل الناس اللي كان جاهد من اجل البلد ما لقوا اي حق بتاعهم. واسبقي قاعدين يجيبوا بنزين من برا وبيجيبوا جاز من برا. يا ريت لو كان عملوا المصرف محلي عشان احتياجات المواطن يلقى جاز ويلقى بنزين عشان كل زول يزرع. فبالنسبه للحصل في بورسودان ده فعلا ده خطا. ما عندنا مصرف وما عندنا عناية وقاعد يتباع ذاته والشعب لسه تعبان فوقه مما أخذنا الاندبندنت من 2011 لحد الآن الشعب في المعاناة حتى الجيش ذاته في المعاناة أساكر ذاته تعبانين الناس اللي كان ناضل من أجل البلد ده. الله كل من حكومة لازم يعمل شنو؟ يعمل مصرف محلي عشان يقدر شنو يلقوا إيرادات يلقوا مرتب للناس التعبانين ديل.
نعم.
عشان الدولة بتاعنا يتقدم.
نعم.
بيوبر في ناس معينين بس هم المستفيدين والمواطن ما مستفيد. أصلا ما عندنا شوارع والزبط قاعد يتباع برا كله. لو عملوا مصرف بكون أحسن.
نعم.
وما يجيب لنا شركات صينية، لأن شركات صينية قاعد يجي يضر في البيع. يجيب لنا شركات أمريكية زي ما شغالين في دول الخليج. يجيبوا China بيدفعوا برخيص، لكن China they didn't do the best thing, the best quality. We have to work with American people. They have a lot of company in America, in Canada, so we can do that refining.
عشان ما يصير برضو ما بيع بتنا.
عشان ما يصير هذا في الفروع الناس بيلوم مشوهين. كل من البيع حاجات سينهم بيعملوا بكوب المخلفات على البترول ده في المياه بقتل أبقار.
شكرا جزيلا. شكرا جزيلا أستاذ كارلوس. نسمع من دبر هاي راديو. نعم أستاذ كارلو بقول جزء من شركات ولا الريفاينريز لو كان جامل في داخل الجنوب معنا حاجات زي بترول زي زبد زي كيميكالز ثانيين وفاتلايزرز ديل كله بيلقى في داخل جنوب السودان لكن أصل بترول لقي صفاو برا معنا حاجات كتار الكله بيمشي في الدولة البرة. تبقول شنو هاي راديو؟
هاي راديو.
نعم.
أنطونيو جيمس نوام.
يا سلام مرحبا يا أنطونيو جيمس.
jamaa hakika de yقولوا ما عندنا طريقة عشان بترول ده نعمله في بلد بتاعنا هنا ولا عشان ما عندنا بحر كبير زي بحر بورسودان ده. يوم تسمينا تيجي جالو دارين يودو مامباسا. في كلام
Uta bamana shunu bedap kan.
Ana bitmanna يكون عندنا هنا بتمنى يكون عندنا على النيل ده بحر ده ما كبير ولا عشان ترحيل بتاعه لدولة برا يا صعب. أنا ما بعرف ترحيله لدولة برا كام يا صعب إلى بواسط مينا. أنا داير يكون في الدولة بتاعنا.
نعم شكرا. وانا كير رسالتك برضو واصل هدارين. طبعا استاذ بقول هما بارو بدب لي بترول بتنا بصفاو برا. اوكي نسمع من دبارو هاي راديو.
Madrama James.
نعم Joseph.
Good evening, my brother.
Good evening.
This is very important topic of today. We appreciate you and I radio in general.
Thank you.
My brother, the issue of the oil. War in Sudan is not known where they're going to stop because there's no peace in Sudan and war is continuous. But South Sudanese, they want oil to be flowed to the world market to reduce this economic crisis in the country. But there were no planning from the national government of South Sudan. That oil is our own resources as a nation. And if it is a resources, you must to be active, plan it, to make it within. We're supposed to use what so-called emergency refineries within the nation here. They were planning that we use a new route to Djibouti. And even the Ministry of Petroleum, they secured the land in Djibouti from that day one. But from there, we have nothing in account because it is a money was supposed to be put into the project, and then later on they have to bring money. So oil is money, but has to be done before you have to put money to bring in the project. Now we have oil in the ground, and Sudan war is continuing, and we have no planning to make within here. There's no money to make refinery within the country. So the ministry of petroleum is supposed to have the plan, has to took the plan, and then to give it to the parliament, and that memo has to be verified, and the oil refinery has to be created within the nation here if oil is going to benefit people. But the main problem here, oil is working, and people they didn't know whether the oil is working or not, because oil is bringing money, and the money are not contributing for the nation.
Yeah,
they are not contributing for the nation building. They are not contributing for the nation issues. Like now, health is poor. Education is poor. And we expect that our oil is always working within the oil, within the pipeline of Sudan. So now, what next? Are we depending on Sudan all the time? Let us be separated as a separate country. That's why we separate this country.
All right.
Not be depend on Sudan every day.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was Joseph from Munuki here in Juba. A couple of you have written to us right here, and this is coming in from Deng Mabiel Deng. He's saying, let us advocate for the refineries within. Otherwise, oil will be exhausted without achieving any major goals of its exploration. Apart from Deng, we have Yela Kodwi saying, what prevents the government from constructing another pipeline through East Africa? Or are we still a young nation? That's the question to all of us now. The local refineries are the best option to ease importing fuel for cars and generators. Dear listener, let's have a news headlines and we shall come back to continue with this conversation.